Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Alec. I'm gonna be in the shop with you guys today. We're in here working on the Turbo GMC Sierra. We're really close to getting this thing started. If this is your first time tuning in, please consider looking at the other videos, and thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching. This weekend's progress, we're really focusing on hopefully getting the truck started for the first time. So we have what I think is everything to get it started. I got some clamps, I got some vacuum plugs, and that's going to allow us to put coolant in this thing and make sure that we don't have any manifold or vacuum leaks. So we're going to get to work right now, but thanks again. If you guys like what you're seeing or want to follow along with the project, please consider checking out the channel and giving me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So with all that being said, we're going to get to work, and I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. All right, so I'm condensing my thoughts together here, just trying to figure out what I want to work on. So I'm just going to barely zoom in. You can see that we have a map sensor back there. So I found a map sensor for the truck on eBay. I searched like GMC Sierra 3-bar map sensor or something like that. And one from, it said SFI on it. I can leave the link in the description, but you can also check out my speed density video if you're interested in converting your truck to speed density. Very easy and very beneficial, so I'd highly recommend it. But the map sensor is in, and so we can knock that off our list over there. The next thing, I'm gonna put these crimp style clamps that I ordered on the 2 connections for the coolant. We're gonna plug this nipple right here with the plugs that I got, and then we're gonna start looking over the intake and seeing what we need to temporarily plug until we get our catch can setup figured out. Right now I'm getting the coolant system dialed in, and I wanted to show you guys one thing that I really like, and I think that would clean up your builds a lot. If you haven't seen these before, and these are the Oderker style or crimp style hose clamps. They come factory on a lot of dirt bikes and motorcycles and stuff like that. They are kind of a one-time use clamp, but they look a heck of a lot better than these worm drive clamps that you would traditionally find for hose clamps. So what I want to show you real quick is I have 2 of them done. This is kind of what they look like on the coolant system. They clamp a lot more evenly. I have one on the nipple right here for the factory overflow bottle, and I'm just about to put one on up here by the filler neck for our new cooling system. And I just want to show you how easy these are by putting you up on the stand. And so we're going to come in here with our pliers. They kind of look like, almost look like hog ring pliers. Maybe you could use a set of those too. This is just a gear wrench setup. And so essentially what we do is we place our clamp where we want it. We make sure it's the correct size. You start with a pretty snug fit, but loose enough to get it over. And you start tightening by using your pliers as traditional pliers. We bring her down. We kind of feel for some resistance. We check it out. We say, okay, the hose is kind of bulging on both sides. We give it a pull. It ain't going anywhere. And that's how easy that was. No finicking with, you know, ratchets and 1/4-inch drives, and you got extras and you cut your arm on it, that kind of thing. This looks much cleaner and takes less time, but also it's more permanent. So I wouldn't put it on anything you're taking on and off frequently, but I want to show you that because I think it'll clean up your builds a little bit. So working on a cooling system, check in with you in a little bit. We got the steam port line hooked up. We got the overflow burp bottle hooked up on both ends. We got our cap here. Nice little vacuum, rubber vacuum plug that'll hold up to like 350 degrees, so we should be good there. I got the top and the throttle body vacuum lines on the intake plugged. So we're making good progress there. I think I'm gonna put coolant in it. And then I need to, off camera one of the days, I just threw the downpipe in, which required, you're just barely gonna be able to see it, but a small amount of clearancing back on the cab right there. So I have to get to the starter again because the truck basically doesn't turn over. And my theory is because the engine got painted, in my ignorance of this is the first time building a truck from the ground up, I forgot that the starter is grounded through the body, and that's why this thing will not turn over. Like, it turns over, but it's super slow right now. And I think it's because it has a bad ground from the body to the engine block, and then the engine block goes to the battery. So I have to pull a downpipe out, and I might have to pull a crossover pipe out, which kind of sucks. So that's going to be kind of on my radar for things to do next, as well as filling the transmission. Got about 1.5 gallons in it right now. That is about half a gallon left over. And we found out the hard way that we got a plug missing out of the side of the block. So actually cylinder head, I totally spaced and forgot that that guy to the right of the spark plug wire needs to have a plug in it. And for some reason my engine builder put all the freeze plugs in except that one, which doesn't make any sense. So this guy just probably cost me, I don't know, $5 in coolant and a bunch of time cleaning up on the ground. But we're going to get it cleaned up, throw some thread sealer on it, throw it in the block, and keep filling this thing up. So got the plug in the side of the cylinder head back in there with some thread sealant, and kind of taking it slow because I should have probably done this in the first place, where I kind of did a quart at a time and figured out if I got a leak, instead of, I probably did put a quart on the ground before I noticed, and it kept leaking after, because of course I poured stuff in, it goes through the system, comes back out. So got the leak mostly cleaned up. It was dripping on me, so the bottom bell housing that bolts on was full of coolant, and it just kept dripping. I was like, uh-oh, hope I don't have something above it leaking, like the steam port or something like that. So I pulled it down. There was a huge amount, like huge for in that area in there. And so I cleaned that up. It doesn't look like it's dripping anymore. So I put about a quart in it, just checking for leaks. And the one cool thing is that while I was under there, I was looking at the starter. I should be able to get it out and get it clean and put it back in without pulling the downpipe and the crossover out. So pretty happy with that. That makes me, you know, more motivated to keep going here. So we're going to put more coolant in it. And I do need to get some more, because I'm on probably the last quart or half gallon, 2 quarts. So we'll keep putting it in, and hopefully we don't have any more leaks. All right, here we are, ran out of coolant, so we're in the truck, flashing the tune on it. And apparently bricks are a good thing, and that's super common with GM trucks for their PCMs to be brickable. I've tuned like 4 or 5 Fords. I've never ran into a brickable warning like that before, so this is the first one. Hopefully it doesn't brick. From what I can tell, the truck successfully flashed, and we do not have a bricked PCM, so that's awesome. I'm kind of playing firefighter over here, putting out leaks as I find them. Found another one, have another puddle on the ground, and this one is the thermostat housing where the lower radiator hose goes into. So brand new water pump, brand new gasket, and she's dripping. So maybe the housing that I reused is warped. So this is kind of where I'm going to call the video for like this afternoon, this evening. I will be back tomorrow to hopefully get this thing started for the first time. We can come over here to the board, and we can cross off flashing the tune. One thing I will be adding to the board is putting fuel in it and taking off the feed line just to run a quick squirt through it, flush out the system in case I got any tiny little metal shavings or anything from cutting the lines. But that'll be tomorrow. So this is going to be the placeholder for from Friday to Saturday. You guys will see it in just a second. Thanks for watching so far. Good morning, coming back to you with kind of part 2 of this video. The next day, it's Saturday today. We're here in the shop. We're gonna get working on the truck. My goal is for this thing to start today. I'm really hoping that we can do that. As long as we don't run into too many snags, the 4 things on my board are totally achievable today. So first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna work on the coolant, because we have that leak at the water pump outlet, the 90 degree or kind of the 45-ish that comes out of the thermostat housing. I have a couple extra ones here, so hopefully that one's not flat, and that's the reason it's not sealing up. We need to put fuel in the truck, and I'm going to take the line off at the regulator and do the first key cycle and just blow it into another fuel can or something like that. We're going to fill the transmission, we're going to pull the starter off and make sure that the block is clean so that it has a good ground. So those are the 4 things that should be good enough to let us start this thing today. So enough jibber jabbering, we're gonna get to work. Thanks for being here, and I'll check in with you in a little bit. Starting this time lapse, we are putting 12 quarts of fluid in the transmission. I know it takes 14. I wanted to err on the low side a little bit, and plus I'm not driving it just yet, so I was okay with that. To leave a little extra in my box from or for the power steering. And then we moved on to the cooling system. Here we were doing the old one guy holds the bucket, one guy pulls the hose off, trying to minimize the leaks and reuse a little bit of the coolant because I just put it in. So got the thermostat housing off, took a wild guess and said, hey, maybe it's warped. Thought we needed a new gasket, trying to find one, and it was already on the truck. So reused the gasket and got that new thermostat housing on, and everything sealed up good. Threw some fluid in it, cleaned up the floor. After I found out I had a coolant leak, I did pull the radiator heater core hoses off because I knew there would be coolant on the backside of the thermostat from the engine block. So worked on putting those back on in this section of the time lapse, which was a little fun because they did have coolant in them after we started filling up the system, and I had to try and catch that with a rag. We are knocking down the list pretty good. Got the whole coolant situation mostly figured out. We're gonna start working on the starter, and then before we bump the key, we gotta adjust fuel pressure regulator. So what we think was probably happening is this guy might be warped. This was the thermostat outlet or water pump outlet. I think it was a little warped. I tried to put it on a flat piece and rock it, but this one rocked, and so did the one that I put on it. So I don't think it was super noticeable, but here's a different design. So I couldn't use that, and the thermostat housing is like an assembly. So it's like built into one. So anyways, this is the old one, and we got the new one in the truck, and it seems to be not leaking. So there she is right there. And I say new lightly because they're new used parts, but I think it's working good, and we got coolant holding up in here. So we're going to take off the positive terminal on the battery and start working on that starter. All right, after 14 hours in the trenches trying to figure this thing out, why it won't work, I think we got it. So pulled the starter out because everyone's first suspicion is a starter, right? And yeah, they ain't gonna turn over shit. So going to the parts store. Alrighty, well, we're pretty excited in the shop today. Got the truck started. It sounds pretty good. It does not idle on its own pretty much at all. I think Tyler's gonna have to play with that, my tuner. So pretty excited though. The truck runs, as long as I got my foot on the pedal or my hand on the pedal, it does idle and stay running. So that's awesome. Really excited about that, which also means we can come over to the whiteboard here and we can clean this guy up, and we got a whole new level of priorities after this with the whole it starting now. So whiteboard is clean, but it shouldn't be clean because we got a lot left. So it started, we're good there. We got a lot of things to work on, but with all that being said, Bailey and I are gonna close out this video. He's over here looking stuff over, but thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. Thanks again. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.